My name is Bruce Krieger. My work number is 31586, and I started to work back in the 50s. And I came here from Aberdeen, Washington with my father, who was a longshoreman, and we settled in Wilmington, California. I started to work in December of 1951 and worked in the hold of the ships for 5 years. That was the normal routine before you could even work at any other position. So I worked in the hold of the ship in gangs and was lucky to work with older men that taught me how to do the heavy work. Lots of cotton and coffee sacks and things like that, fish that we used to handle by hand. There was never a container back in those days. And after 5 years in the hold, I got to work a little bit on the dock, and I didn't like that too much, so I went back on the ship and worked. And after I got about somewhere like 10 years volunteering work for union committees and stuff, I ran for an office that came up that I thought I would like to learn, and it was the health benefits representative, and a great guy to teach me. And there was such a need because the union was growing so fast for people. They added a second health benefits representative. In those days, we called them welfare office. So we changed the name to health benefits and proceeded. And I was lucky to get reelected for about, I can't remember now, about 30 times on an annual running. But I missed once and went back on the docks, and it was a pleasure to be out there working with my friends. And then after a couple of years out there, I rested up and ran again for the Office of Health Benefits, and I was elected. And then I was there until I retired about 10 or 20 years later. I retired at age 65 and became a pensioner. I happened to be in office when the rules were for fathers that passed away, their sons could be able to come into the union and carry on and work the hard, heavy jobs. But as times changed things, when I was in office, a young lady came in with her mother, and her father had died, and she was the only one to help her mother out. And at that point, the young lady that came in says, "I want to work." And so I says, "It's not in the rules, but let's try something. You write a letter and maybe things will change." And she did. She wrote a letter saying that I'm the only support to my mother, who is a widow now of my father, and I want to work. And she was a big young lady, and she did go to work and surprised everybody, and that began the chance for feminine women can be working on the waterfront if they wanted and could do so. And that was a big change in the local that no one ever expected, but it came to pass, and now it's There's plenty of women doing jobs on the waterfront that are doing them quite well. Some men are too, but you can see the difference in what's available. The jobs are easier now than they were in those days. Okay, well, one of the things I've followed along with was the lack of educating newly members coming into the union. And back in the old days when I came, the parents were telling, and mostly the fathers, were telling their sons how to act, how to do, and to mind your own business and carry on well. And later, as things went on, that's kind of drifted away because lots of people coming into the local didn't have parents to educate them, and therefore they wanted to look for the easiest jobs to handle. And that's kind of hurt our local up and down the coast with that. So I hope that that can be recovered, and the members that come in as casuals, IDs, or regulars, that they'll appreciate what the prior members did, that they didn't have the opportunity to know, but the new members could educate them into doing a healthy, brotherly, sisterly thing, and that would be my suggestions.